All right, welcome back everyone to Boston Boys Sports. I'm Steve Fernandez, and tonight I'm here with only one other Boston boy, Kiefer. He and I decided we wanted to hop on, but unfortunately Eli had a prior engagement. So Kiefer, how are you tonight?
Oh, ready to talk about how bad the Patriots suck balls, but other disappointments coming up, couple shockers I might have. So let's get this going. We'll miss Eli, of course, but Eli will be back
Yep.
hopefully soon.
Yep. Absolutely. So as always, we're partnering with Jones and for Sports. Make sure to check them out on Twitter and YouTube. Every single day they're putting out great content, so definitely take a look at them. So today on the podcast, we're going to go over our weekly NFL studs and duds. We'll then list our top three teams in our power rankings, along with where we believe the Pats are. Obviously, that's not part of that three, so I mean, we're going to be real about that one. And then after that, we'll probably more than likely just shit on the New England Patriots. So, Kiefer, why don't you kick us off with your first stud?
My first does Josh Allen, and I know Eli put him in his, and I know everybody was talking shit about Josh during this year. Everybody called me a Josh Allen lover, but I don't know, 23 for 30, 263 yards, 4 touchdowns, 44 yards rushing, 3-0 in the season, and he looks like the best quarterback in the NFL. And then he came
I
out the other day saying that they were talking about Diggs, and he's like, it's good to have people that don't care about stats when you want to play football. And it's like, maybe he figured something out now. So I'm not forcing the ball all day, but that's my first guy right there.
I like it, and he wasn't at my top, but he is one of my three, so I'll just piggyback on that. Just the 44 rushing yard that was on 6 attempts. Just the way he commands on the field, the way that he literally wins on his own sometimes. And it's just as a Patriots fan, it pains me to have to discuss this like this about a Buffalo Bill, but it's true. I mean, he's that impressive that I have to give him that much respect. So that wipes out one of mine. So that kind of worked out.
Yeah, I got number two. I got Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
That team looked abysmal for the first two games of the season. And he comes in and goes 26 for 37, 319, and 3 touchdowns. The problem is Bryce Young.
Yes.
Definitely not the Panthers in general. I thought they were bad. They were bad because of him. And I don't know if because he doesn't know the playbook. I mean, he must know the playbook. He's got to. It's just I don't know what his deal is, but I don't think he's an NFL quarterback. And Dalton comes in and tears it up and shows that this team might actually be something if they have a competent quarterback at the helm. I mean, we'll see this week, but he's right there. I think Eli had Andy Dalton on there too.
Yeah. I was just going to say he had Andy Dalton and Josh Allen, so we kind of already covered two of those that he had in the same list. My second one, I went with Saquon Barkley. And I know that sounds ridiculous because he was already there, but I think he's that good that he deserves a second week on it. I mean, 17 rushes for 147 yards, 2 touchdowns against New Orleans. The guy is just, if Jalen Hurts could just cut down on his mistakes and just, I don't know what he's doing. It really looks like when he's on the field, when he goes back into the pocket, he looks at his first read. And if the first read isn't there, he just takes off. He doesn't check the reads. It looks like something's off with his clock right now. But if he could get his stuff together, and he has the addition of Saquon, and obviously Devontae Smith has concussions right now. He's out. AJ Brown just got back to practice. But if that team could get fully healthy, the team would be absolutely unstoppable. With the
Oh,
addition of Saquon Barkley, it's crazy.
they would. And AJ Brown, I think a lot of the reads have to do with AJ Brown. He generally is a double team guy,
Yeah.
and it opens up the field for Goddard, Barkley, Smith, and all that. And without him, he crybabied last year, throw me the ball, throw me the ball. A lot of picks are happening because of it, but I think you kind of need him on the field for
Yeah.
this team to work out the way it's supposed to work out.
Yeah. I agree completely.
And then I actually got another Panther at number three. Got Chubb Hubbard,
I
and
like
and
it.
and I say that because his first game of the season awful. I think he had 1 point in fantasy. The second week, he had 8 points, and then he exploded last week for 114 yards, a touchdown, and then 5 receptions for 55 yards and a touchdown. And I think with Andy Dalton in the system and working the system with him, I think he's actually going to end up having a decent season. I picked him late in a lot of drafts, thinking that he was going to get a lot of stuff over Miles Sanders, and I think it's coming out to turn into that.
Yep, I like that pick a lot. I think that's a great pick. For Eli, for his third, he had the Pittsburgh Steelers. He just said basically they're the most consistent, well-oiled machine in the NFL. He speaks to what Justin Fields has done. And the way that they play, and again, I mean, Mike Tomlin, the three of us had a conversation through text, was it yesterday, talking about Mike Tomlin and how he's underrated, and he gets love, but we still feel that he's underrated. I mean, he is just the whole, 16, 17 seasons, whatever it's been now that he's been there, not a single losing season. Every single year they're in the hunt. And people will say, yeah, but they're never good enough to get over. But every single year they're in the hunt. And that's what football's about. Just getting into the dance is what you want to do in football. And he has them there every single year. You
notice they never have a good draft pick, and they still end up finding draft picks in as gems.
Yeah, 6th, 7th round, Antonio Brown. I mean, it's crazy.
We need some of these GMs in New England. I mean, some of these guys in New England, because we've talked about other GMs that, like the quarterback whisperers in Green Bay.
Yeah,
they draft quarterback nonstop. How do you do it? I don't know. Where are these guys for New England? Does nobody want to? Yeah, income tax is too high. I don't know, but the Steelers are the consistent team in the NFL to constantly win games.
Yep. I especially want some of the GMs to come over here just to draft wide receivers. I mean, their history of drafting receivers is just absolutely insane.
Dude, they're so good at it. I wish, this is the beginning of the season, I wish we could get into rooms and see what these guys say in certain teams about players, because you want to see what other people are saying about them and why they choose guys over other people, and they hit all the time. That's what New England needs. But the Steelers defense holds them in games too. The Steelers are a top 5 NFL right now.
Yeah, and it's been that way since Tomlin's been. It was there with Cowher as well, but it's been there with Tomlin. It's consistent. The defense, no matter the old guys leave, James Harrison leaves, the older guys, they all retire, and it just, the turnover, especially linebackers, they just continue to just refill from somewhere. It's crazy.
What's crazy too is when we did our way too early power rankings, I think I had them at 11, and Eli looked at me like, "Oh, that's way too high." I thought I went too high too after he said it. I was like, "Man, maybe I'm wrong on this."
Yeah.
And clearly, I must have not have been too wrong on that. So I'll pat myself on the back on that one.
No, you deserve it. All right. So for my third, I did Jaden Daniels.
Oh, kid's a stud.
21 for 23, 254 yards, 2 touchdowns, another rushing touchdown against Cincy. He just looked good. He made every play he had. 21 for 23. He made every play he needed to make. Yeah. Yep. Just absolutely insane. Such good command in everything about that game was just perfect. It was absolutely perfect.
The crazy part was that they played Cincinnati's defense is awful right now. Yeah. Joe Burrow didn't even have a bad game.
Yeah, right. He played.
So the fact that Washington pulled that out, and I think aren't they one in the East right now for the NFC?
Yeah, it's a funny division right now.
It's a weird division right now to look at, but that team is going to surprise people, and I think Jaden Daniels might end up being the best quarterback for this year coming out of the draft.
I think he was most pro ready. I mean, what did he play? 54, 55 college games. And he started a ton of games. So I thought he was the most pro ready for that reason alone. I mean, well above Drake May, and then obviously above Caleb Williams as well, just from, I guess you could say veteran, but college veteran, if you will. But the one throw, the touchdown pass to the right corner of the end zone to Terry McLaurin.
Oh,
he knew he was going to get rocked. and he didn't flinch. In the placement of the ball, he couldn't have walked it over there and handed it to him any prettier than the ball landed. And it was a great catch by Terry as well.
Oh,
But
yeah, it was awesome.
to see a rookie his third game in, stay in the pocket in the face, and everybody talks about how skinny he is, how frail he is. For him to stand in the pocket, know he's going to get absolutely rocked, and still place that ball where he placed that's not a rookie throw. And he was able to pull that.
Not at all. And a lot of people are calling his arm like jelly. The way he throws the ball, he got zip on it, but his arm looks so loose when he throws, and he's dead accurate with it. And
well, I said early on, we had talked about it. I said he reminds me sometimes, not every delivery, but in some of his deliveries, he reminds me of a right-handed Michael Vick.
Oh,
because Vick had that flick of the wrist. It was everything was in that wrist that you watched, and that ball. I mean, it zoomed out of his hand. So that was my comparison early on.
I mean, it's not a bad comparison if you look at it, because the way he's running the ball, and he obviously throws better than Vick did. I mean, Vick, powerful arm, all that, but he actually involves the receivers. He doesn't have to rely on feet. He did for the first 2 games, and I think that was just him working out the jitters, and getting Terry McLaurin involved in the offense helped out tremendously, because his first 2 games were awful. That game, what do you have, 2 touchdowns last week?
I think so. Yeah.
So getting him involved in it, I think was a perfect way to go. And I wish New England got him. I wish they traded up to get him. Oh my God, I wish that. I don't even want Caleb Williams. He threw for like almost 400 yards last week, and I still would choose Jalen Daniels all day over Caleb Williams right now.
I'm the same. I'm in the same boat. They tried to make it sound like Caleb Williams was the guy, like in the conversation with the Lux and the Elways, like we said, graded out in college. I mean, they tried to make him sound like that, and to me, I never fully saw that. He was going to be the number 1 pick, as to not take Caleb Williams and have him hit the ceiling people expect, you wouldn't have a job anymore. You had to draft him because he graded out so high.
Yeah, that without a doubt.
But
I think we said this earlier. We were talking about the Trevor Lawrence being one of those guys like that. But do you end up seeing Jalen Daniels having a better career than Caleb Williams? You don't. You're not going to tell that right now. But as it looks, he looks like the most pro-ready quarterback out of everybody.
Yep, I agree 100%.
And he makes plays with his.
Yeah, absolutely. And he looks so far to be smart enough to get out when he needs to get out and to get down when he needs to get down, which is going to be a huge part of I hate to say it, but not turning into RG3. I hate to say it because he wears the same uniform, but you know what I mean.
Oh, I know. Exactly.
All right, so let's turn to the bad side of this. Let's go to the duds here. Who do you got for your first dud?
The New England Patriots as a whole. Yeah, as a whole, their team looks that offensive line. We said it right before, but it looks like David Carr from the Houston Texans when he got drafted way back when. That offensive line is so bad. Like I sit there, I told you guys a couple weeks ago, we need get Dante out of retirement, bro, and bring him back and let him fix something. There's old offensive linemen in free agency that you could pick up right now that may be playing better than the guys that we have. Why they're not doing it is beyond me. That this team is frustrating. They can't do nothing. I think Eli said they averaged 2.9 yards through 48 plays. My flag football teams when I was coaching averaged more yards than that. And these kids were kids. So the Patriots as a whole, they stink. they are awful right now.
So I wish I could show you my notes. My notes are on my phone, but my second one down says every single Patriot. So obviously we're tied on that one. Yeah, it's pathetic. There's not a single person, even Ramondre Stevenson at this point, because I don't trust the offensive coordinator do right by him. So I wouldn't even suggest playing him in fantasy. There is not a person, unless you love Joey Sly, there's not a single person that I would play on my fantasy team. It's absolutely pathetic. And if I look at Eli's New England Patriots, his third one is the New England Patriots.
It's the whole team. You can't single out one player on that team because it's the whole team playing bad right now.
Yeah, and on top of that, there's not a single player on the offense that you expected to do anything. And for a dud, I needed to expect them to be good. For them to be a dud, there's no New England Patriot I looked at going into this season. I guess Ramondre and maybe Pop Douglas was drafted in some drafts. But outside of that, who are you drafting? Hunter Henry, maybe.
Hunter Henry was a pickup that I got in free agency when Evan Ingram went down.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
that they got to pick up. Alex Van Pelt is not, and I said this when they drafted Drake May, that they were just going to run the ball. But how did you have a game plan to run the ball with the offensive line that you have? It's physically, but you can run the ball if they can't block.
Right.
And penalties on that line is ridiculous on top of it.
Yep. It's bad football. It's bad coaching. It's horrible roster development and building. It's everything about it is just pathetic.
Yeah, spending money on people getting injured, not playing. It's, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Yep. They ripped me off.
All right. Who do you have for number 2?
The Jaguars as a whole.
It's a good one.
They're just as bad right now. Their offense, they have better, and they have a better offensive-minded coach. Doug Peterson is not a bad coach, and he's proved it. He's brought teams to win. Lawrence did have his best season, I believe, under him, but Lawrence isn't showing to be anything better. You needed to see something this year. We said this at the beginning of the year. You need to see something from him this year, or he's not the guy. I don't know if he is the guy. I really don't. And to have him in that, we said this earlier too, they had him in that whole, Elway, Luck. I would take Luck over him any day of the week. I would have drafted Luck over him, and if they were in the same draft.
Yep, I agree with you. I know we were talking about this in the text, and I try to give Trevor Lawrence the benefit of the doubt because I think he's talented. I mean, we saw it in college, and college doesn't always translate, but there's a lot of memes going around right now comparing Daniel Jones and Trevor Lawrence and their career stats, and they're very similar.
Right there.
They're almost right. They're almost exact. So, I mean, the hate that Daniel Jones gets. So the question is, why doesn't Trevor Lawrence get the same if they're basically the same quarterback? So I get it. And yeah, it's just it's another bad organization. I mean, they're right there with the Patriots and the Carolina Panthers.
Without the doubt.
So yeah, I agree.
Awful. My third one's going to shock.
Yeah, I think you'll laugh at my third one. I'm going to save one for third. So my second one's just going to be Zamir White. And 1, because I drafted him in fantasy. 2, because he's got 32 rushes for 102 yards and no touchdowns this year. He's just, for the guy who was supposed to be the guy, and, Gardner Minshew's there, so he's going to get a ton of rushes, but targets too. He was supposed to be part of the passing game as well, and he's just played. I think he's got 5 catches. He's just played horribly. And again, I mean, if I didn't draft him, I probably wouldn't even be mentioning him right now. I just want to shit on him because I drafted him probably. But
now the question is, would you have gotten rid of Josh Jacobs after seeing what he's doing now?
No, absolutely not.
Hey, Josh Jacobs had a game a couple weeks ago, and he played good last week. And it's just you gave up him for this guy, and we're going to give him 20 touches a game. but 20 touches a game ain't turning into 20 touches, and it's not turning into any kind of yardage for him. So I
Nope.
really like, because I have him in a couple fantasy leagues too. And at this point, I'm thinking about just getting rid of him because there's no point to keep him if he's not going to do anything for the rest of the season.
Yep. I've had the same thoughts. I'm sick of it.
So on number 3, and I'm saying this, that they might be 3-0, but I'm going Pat Mahomes.
I like it.
I thought adding all that speed and talent was going to show some. Kelsey looks, he better just go back to podcasting at this point. Join your brother, retire, buddy. Go be a Swiftie. Go do what you got to do because you don't look good right now. Pat Mahomes had 217 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick last week on the season through 3 games, 659, 5 touchdowns, 4 picks. And I drafted him in every league thinking, oh, they got all the speed. They got this. They got Rice. Kelsey's back. They're going to show me something. And yeah, he's pulling out wins at the end of the games by referees.
By referees, and the defense is carrying them too.
It carrying them. So I go with my guy that I drafted in every league. I'm going Pat Mahomes.
Yep. No, I had an argument on Twitter with a guy about this today. I mean, he does this every September, and I looked at all of his September stats, and I mean, he was like 12 touchdowns, 0 picks in 2018. It was like 9-0, 2019. Like, this isn't a September thing. This is the last 2 seasons. He's looked horrible the last 2 years. It has nothing. It has nothing to do with, early season doesn't matter. He's not Tom Brady. He's not doing, this is an extension of the preseason. He just looks bad. And he looked bad last year. This is a continuation into a second season. So I agree with that one.
The only thing that he did good last year is when he rolled into the playoffs and then stomped the mud hole basically in everybody. Yeah. You can't wait 8 weeks to be good in the NFL right now with all the teams that are playing good right now. And there's a lot of surprising teams playing good. So
100%. And and especially considering the fact it's only one team that gets the bye. This isn't 2 teams get the bye anymore. Getting the second seed isn't as good as it used to be. It just means you're going to get a home game. So, or 2. But yeah, it's not the same. So Eli has Justin Herbert and Jimmy Harbaugh for one of his. And basically goes into the fact that Harbaugh is supposed to be a QB whisperer, and it feels like the polar opposite of it. Herbert looks terrible. He's having one of the worst starts of his career. He's averaging 133 yards per game. And I mean, I think he's right. I mean, that was one of the things Jim Harbaugh was going to go in there and fix everything with Herbert. But one of the questions was Herbert lost Keenan Allen and he lost Mike Williams. So you took his weapons. So it's kind of difficult. It's kind of not as easy as it usually, is when you have those options on the field with you.
Yeah, so I was kind of shocked when he let both of them go. I know they were both getting older and up there, but why would you give away his 2 best receivers that he had chemistry with and give him a bunch of guys who don't? I mean, Dobbins is having a year.
Yeah.
Like, I'll say that, but everything else he did to that team, why did you do it? What's the sense of it? And the thing I can think of is he's probably hoping to trade Herbert. Maybe Herbert can go play somewhere else and do a little bit better somewhere. I don't know, but I don't disagree with those at all.
No, I don't either. I think I would have kept Keenan Allen. I would have done whatever I could to keep Keenan Allen. And I would have let Mike Williams go just because of injuries. I mean, he's been injured a lot recently. So that would have been my move. Just give him one guy he knows, one guy he's comfortable with, like you said, has the chemistry. But I don't know. I don't know why they did it the way they did it there.
No, Jimmy does what he wants.
Yep. And they give him that power. So let's see. Eli for his third has Mike Evans. He said 2 weeks ago we were talking about a potential being quietly a top 10 receiver ever. Since then, he's had 5 receptions, 59 yards, no touchdowns against Detroit and Denver. So yeah, I looked at him too. He's somebody that I almost wrote, but I ended up going with my third one instead, and I went with every single tight end in the NFL.
Oh man.
You know, I have Trey McBride in one of my leagues. I have George Kittle in my other two leagues, and they're terrible so far. And I was like, let me take a look and see if everybody is terrible. Everybody is terrible. Every tight end in the NFL. So in our league, we have one tight end that's hit 40 points for the season. It's Dallas Goedert. There are 20 running backs that are over 40 points, and 22 wide receivers that are over 40 points. And there's only one tight end.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's a pathetic showing. And you already mentioned Kelsey, but then you go like, we all thought Trey McBride was going to be an absolute stud. He's flopped. Mark Andrews was going to be a stud. Flopped. I mean, Isaiah Likely had a great week one, but that's turned into nothing. David Njoku.
Yeah.
Yeah. David Njoku was a sleeper. Absolutely nothing. I love Brock Bowers. I mean, he's popped a little bit here and there, but I mean, he's young. I mean, I love my Georgia boys, but it's every Kyle Pitts. Like the list goes on and on. Every tight end that you're like, oh, okay, like this is a top 10 tight end. Like I feel comfortable with any of these guys. None of them have done anything. Jake Ferguson. Like the list goes on and on. It's been bad.
I didn't even think about looking that up. I've been wondering why tight ends have been having such a bad season for me because I have a keeper league and I got like 3 or 4 tight ends in it. A lot of people don't want to have that many. I had Kelsey, I had Laporta, I drafted Bowers, and I haven't got anything from really any of them except for that one big game Bowers had.
Yeah,
when he had I think 98 yards, hoping for a touchdown, didn't get it, but whatever. But it's I thought Laporta would start off with a way better season than he is, and he's not. And I don't know if it's tape on these guys or some of these guys are just getting older from taking punishment from blocking, but something's got to give.
Yeah, I couldn't. I knew it was slow, but that's why I did the research, and I'm like you got to be kidding me. I'm like, there's like I said, Dallas Goedert's the only guy that has over 40 points. It's crazy.
His stats are padded right now because of all injuries.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I mean, Kittle's been down and Njoku's been down. Like, there's a lot of guys that are hurt too. You're right. That isn't Trey McBride's out this week already. They announced that he's out Sunday.
Yeah,
so yeah, that's
Ingram as doubtful now, so he's probably going to be out. He posted it today. I picked up that kid, the backup. I think his last name was Strange.
Oh yeah.
I picked it. He didn't have a bad week the first week, and then he was and then hoping for something this week because I the only tight end I got now that's going to do something hopefully because Jaguars suck and Trevor Lawrence needs a safety valve. So.
That's where you should start. Whoever's closest to you.
That's crazy.
I thought it was nuts. I had to look into it, and I'm happy I did. I mean, it's crazy, but
TV Stats pulls out another one because kind of can't find one, bro.
All right. So let's jump into our power rankings. I wonder if we're gonna have the same number one. Eli and I don't. So I'm wondering if you and I will. Go ahead with your number one here.
Buffalo Bills.
Okay, we have the same one then. Good.
I understand he picked Kansas City, and I get it. Super Bowl champs, they're 3-0, but I look at the way they're winning games, and it's not like what the Bills are doing. The Bills are playing football right now, and they look like the scariest team in the NFL.
Yep, I agree with you 100%, and those are exactly my reasons. I've always lived by to be the champion, you got to beat the champion. But when I pulled that away for a second and I looked at the way these two teams are playing right now, the way their quarterbacks are playing right now, it's Buffalo. They're the better team right now. They are the best team in football, in my
Well,
mind, without a single doubt.
no, without a doubt. Josh Allen piggyback and let's go. Let's carry everybody. I'll take it all
Yep.
season long. I don't care. He's showing that he's the best quarterback in the NFL right now. So
I think he's trying to prove it, and he's heard all the shit talking, and he knows the situation between he and Steph Diggs, and everybody said he was nothing without Steph Diggs. He had to get that wide receiver when he got there. I think Josh Allen's out to prove a point this year.
oh, I think he is, and I think he really wants to go to a Super Bowl.
Yep.
And until he gets to a Super Bowl, people are going to say this about Allen, but I think this is the year you might actually see it happen.
Yep. And you know what? Sorry, Boston, but I'd like to see it.
Oh,
Because the Patriots aren't doing it. So let's be fair. I'd love to see Josh Allen do that.
I would love to see Buffalo make it just to see Kansas City not make it.
That's another part of it. I don't want to see the three-peat.
I don't want to see Kansas City. I don't want to see Kansas City three-peat. I just don't want to do it.
Nope.
So
Me neither.
give Josh Allen to win a Super Bowl. I'll take it. As a Pats fan, I'm sorry. Patriots fans, I'm sorry. All this, but Buffalo looks like they might actually be a Super Bowl contender this year.
Yep. I agree 100%. Eli goes with Kansas City, so we'll just roll into that. I'm guessing you have KC as well. Number 2.
I don't.
Okay. All right, then I'll just go. So, yeah, Eli and I both have KC at 2, and it's what I said before, except I had to put Buffalo ahead of them. KC, to be the champion, you got to beat the champion. Even though I didn't put him at 1, I'm still going to place him at 2. I can't drop him that much. So that's my reasoning.
So I went out of the box here when I did mine, and I looked at, penalties, referee stuff. I looked at how they're winning games. I looked at what they're doing. I picked the Minnesota Vikings at 2.
Okay.
Justin Jefferson looks unstoppable. And you've said it countless times. He is the best receiver in the NFL. He is better than CeeDee Lamb. He is the best receiver in the NFL. Sam Darnold, I don't know if it's because of Justin Jefferson and Kevin O'Connell, or if he's actually just playing good football now because he's in a good mental state or whatever. But their defense, I think they had like 30 points last week in fantasy or something like that. Insane that this team is doing what they're doing. And they drafted a quarterback thinking that Sam was just going to be a placeholder. And I said this, do they sign Sam Darnold at the end of the season? I don't know. But I put Minnesota there. Minnesota looks like a more complete team than Kansas City right now.
I'm not upset by that. We've talked. I'm a fan of Kevin O'Connell and what he does.
Oh, yeah.
There was an interview with him recently, or he was on a podcast. I wish I could remember, but he was talking about how, and this is obviously not verbatim, and I can't give it credit, but he was talking about the fact that more times than not, an organization fails a young quarterback as opposed to a quarterback failing the organization. And I had commented on it on Twitter, and I said, I hope that there's a lot of Patriots fans listening to him right now, because he actually knows what he's talking about. And he's talking about Drake May without talking about Drake May right now. I just wanted people to realize that. And he's right, first of all, because, well, I agree with him, so he's right. And second, because he knows what he's freaking talking about. He's an NFL coach who played in the NFL. Like, people need to realize that these guys, like, you can't just say, oh, he's an idiot. That's why. No, he knows what he's talking about. And playing Drake May, we'll get into that afterwards, but playing Drake May too early will ruin him. I don't know how I ended up there, but I ended up there. Minnesota's a great pick. That's my number 3. Eli's got them at number 3 as well. And to go back to it, it's O'Connell. Justin Jefferson is the best wide receiver in football.
Yes.
Brian, we had the text 2 days ago. I think we were talking about it. Brian Flores.
Oh, stud.
This year, how much can you say?
This year is going to be the year he gets another head coaching job just from how he's coaching that defense right now.
It should be. And if there's any, yeah, and if there's any question to, oh, well, what about what happened in Miami and blah, 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 like he's commented on that and said, like, I was younger, I didn't really understand the way to approach stuff. Like, again, not verbatim, but he's addressed that. Like, he's said all the right things. And with what he's showing in Minnesota this year, the way that defense is playing, he deserves it. 100% deserves it.
Dude, does defense kind of remind you of a Bill Belichick defense, though?
At 100%.
Like, legitimately, he might be the best coordinator that come out of New England, out of all that coaching carousel with Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about it. Like, McDaniels, okay, one okay season in Denver, two shit seasons in with the Raiders. The Patricia awful with Detroit, awful with New England.
Yeah.
You could go down the list of people that didn't pan out that are good coordinators that probably weren't meant to be a head coach. And I think after this year, people are going to say Brian Flores should get a head coach job.
I think so too. I mean, Cornell, Weiss, and then I wish Eli were here to talk about Bill O'Brien, but we don't have that right now. No.
That got into a heated argument.
Yeah, nice little text about Bill O'Brien got us all riled up.
Oh, I wasn't caught up, and I'm reading all of it. I'm like, seems like someone's getting a little mad over here.
Oh, it's all in good fun. That's just how that's how we talk. Yeah, I get a little funny with it sometimes, but it's all it's never real.
So who'd you have for 3? Who's your third in the power rankings?
Minnesota. Eli and I both had Minnesota.
Yeah. So I had a tie, and I had to put them there because I couldn't drop them too low. But I put the Steelers and the Chiefs at 3.
I like that.
And I put the Chiefs there just because they won the Super Bowl. They're 3-0. Yes, they've won games like shit games, blah, blah, but the Steelers defense looks insane. And Fields isn't making mistakes. The team's playing good. And we already said it. Mike Tomlin's a great coach. I just couldn't drop the Chiefs to 4, so I kind of just did a 2-way tie.
No, I respect that because I again, as the Boston boys and Patriots fans, it's difficult to say this, but Mike Tomlin makes the Steelers likable. And I hate that.
I hate the Steelers.
100%. But Mike Tomlin is just, again, we had this in the text. He's just, obviously, he's such a good coach. You got to give him respect for his coaching. He seems like a great guy. The way he handles the media is solid. And his players would absolutely and probably do run through walls for him. Everything you see about the guy just seems so solid. And he makes them likable, and it makes me hate him, which I know sounds ridiculous. But again, every single year they're in contention. Every single year, Duck Hodges is the quarterback, and they're in contention. Like it never mattered who the quarterback was. I mean, Mitch Trubisky was starting for that team. Like these are the guys that he's had, and they're always never had a below 500 record. He's so consistent, and it just, like we said, the play a turnover, and it doesn't matter. It just continues.
The crazy part about it is that they were talking about him getting let go from Pittsburgh at the end of last year.
Yeah.
It's like, who are you going to pick that's a better coach than Mike Tomlin to come coach that team? The thought it shouldn't have been in their hands.
No, because it's not a Belichick situation. Like people said that when they fired Belichick, who are you going to get that's better than Bill Belichick? Well, somebody who didn't let the game pass by them. Like he's old. The game he won't change. He's such an egotistical maniac that he won't adapt to the new NFL. So yeah, he might be the greatest coach of all time, but you could get somebody who's better equipped to coach the NFL right now. With
Oh
Mike
yeah.
Tomlin, you're not going to find somebody else in the NFL right now that's better than Mike Tomlin. Like that's unless all of a sudden you want to really flip it and you want Andy Reid. Like you could talk Andy Reid, Mike Tomlin. Those are my top two coaches in the NFL. So no, you're not going to get rid of Mike Tomlin and successfully find his successor. That's not going to go well because he's going to go somewhere else and he's going to succeed and he's going to make you look bad.
Make you look
Belichick, you didn't have to have that fear. Yeah, you didn't have to have that fear with Belichick. You remember Belichick traded Drew Bledsoe in division to the Buffalo Bills because he wasn't afraid of him. Well, that's how I feel about letting Bill Belichick go. Let him go somewhere else. He's not going to succeed. That's how I feel about him in his coaching right now.
No, I don't. And he's gonna hire. We said it early. Hire all of his friends again, and turn into a New England Patriots situation. Like we were saying last night, if Dallas lost, they were fighting McCarthy and Bill Belichick's going to Dallas. I think that would be a mistake too. Unfortunately,
Yep.
he's got a job again. It's without a doubt he's going to get a job again. And I know you guys say you stay out the game, they stay out this. He wants Don Shula's record, so he's going to come
I
back
agree.
and he's gonna try to get that record, but I don't see it happening.
Nope. I agree 100%.
I see him tarnishing his legacy more than he did at the end of New England.
Yep. Yep.
So
I agree.
but we got that. Where do you have New England in your power rankings?
So there's 32 teams in the NFL. I have them at 32.
Okay. I didn't have him at 32.
I tried to give them a little bit of a pass for the loss against the Jets. And the pass I tried to give them was they're a bad team, but they won against a division rival. There's familiarity there. And the Jets knew how to attack them. So like I tried to come up with a fantasy that they weren't as bad as they were. But the facts are 24-3 was really about 58-4. I'm gonna give them one more point. Which obviously we know is impossible. My point is they don't deserve much more than the 3 that they scored. But the game felt so much worse than the scoreboard reads at the end of it.
Well, what did the Jets have? 7 sacks that game or something like that?
Yeah, and Jacoby threw for what, 98 yards?
Something stupid. And we'll get on the talk about that because we were saying this before too. But they did not look good. Eli said it. 48 plays, 2.9 yards for an average. My flag football team does better than that. New England, I'm sorry.
Yep, it's and to be honest, injuries haven't helped. I mean, the injuries with losing Bentley and obviously Barmore, that does not help, especially when the defense is supposed to be a strong suit. But it feels like Denny Green, they are who we thought they were. They're just terrible. And it's the roster. And everybody that argued with me on Twitter trying to say that they were going to wait 9 wins. This is a 9-win team. They might go 10-7. This is what New England Patriots fans were saying to me. And I was letting them know, hey, this is a really weird way for you to announce to the world that you don't understand football. Like to think that they could win 10 games before the season started is absolutely insane. Just to understand the basics of football and the fact that an offensive line is actually kind of necessary. You kind of need one to succeed. If you looked at this team and saw what their offensive line was shaping up to be, you immediately should have known that they weren't a 10-win team. Or 9. Or 7.
I think we all said under 6. It was the basis was like the over under. Do they win over 6 games or 5 games? I think I had them at 4.5. So you can't expect this team to do anything with that line, injuries, and Brissett as a quarterback. If you and that Brissett was going to carry you to 10 wins, You go smoke some more stuff, buddy. I want some of your stuff because mine is.
Nope, I agree 100%. There's no way you could look at that, any of it. Again, I mean, I guess we could. Eli had the Patriots at 32 as well. So, I mean, we obviously already talking about them. We might as well just continue with it. Nothing about their situation stated success. The roster is horrible, including the offensive line, especially. Skill position players are missing. You overpaid guys like Kyle Duggar, who, congratulations, he's a captain. Who cares? Like, he can't, he's horrible in coverage. He's rated as one of the worst safeties in football. I don't know if you saw Christian Gonzalez is rated as like
You
one
said
of
that.
the worst corners, like a 53 by Pro Football Focus.
I couldn't
Absolutely insane. Yeah, I couldn't either. I saw it on Twitter or something. I'm like, there's no way. So I had to check it. I checked it. Yep, that's where they have him rated at. Like, and then to get into the coaching staff. Again, I mean, we've gone over this, but Gerard Mayo, who has never been a coordinator in the NFL, he's never called a play in the NFL, was made the head coach. Alex Van Pelt hasn't been trusted to call plays as in an offense in 20 years. Even in Cleveland, Kevin Stefanski called plays because he didn't trust Alex Van Pelt to call plays. And this guy's going to be your offensive coordinator and come in and change your team with Jacoby Brissett behind, a stitched up offensive line and to help out a 21-year-old quarterback. Then you don't even give him anything. You don't get anybody. You didn't get Ayuk. You didn't get whatever with that stuff. But Jalen Polk and Javon Baker are going to be the guys that change the team. It's everything they did. We'll just bring Hunter Henry back. He's, we're familiar with him. He's here. Everything they've done with still, $60 million in cap space, 55, 60 million in cap space still remaining.
I think it's like 62 million or something like that.
Yeah. Like, I don't know how somebody could have looked at this and thought, this is a good situation. They're going to go to playoffs this year.
See, I was on the boat of, I get why they picked Mayo and all this stuff. I wanted the quarterback coach that became the offensive coordinator in San Fran that's been coaching up Purdy for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
If you could turn Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, and I think he's second in the league in yards right now. He didn't lose them this weekend. That was not him. No. He threw 3 touchdowns, no picks, scrambling out the pocket, making plays, extending plays. It wasn't him. I wanted someone like that to bring on the next rookie quarterback. Instead, you bring in Alex Van Pelt, who I didn't even know was looking for jobs. Why would you find him? If he's not even calling plays in Cleveland, why would you go out and get him?
Cleveland fired him, and we all knew. I mean, I understand how people fell in love with them a little bit because of Flacco last year and how everything went down in Cleveland. I think that was kind of like a part of it. But he was fired. Like, I don't know how that whole thing fell.
Well, you said calling plays anyway.
Right. Which is, I don't know if they were giving him credit for the work he did in the quarterback room because of the injuries and Deshaun Watson and everything else. Like, I don't know if that's, but if he was fired, clearly they weren't happy with the job that he did. Like, I didn't understand the whole thing, but I will say this, and this is the embarrassing part, and I don't know if anybody wants to hear it, but you need to remember that they I believe it was they interviewed like 12 or 13 offensive coordinator eligibles, and it was like a couple declined to even interview, and most of them turned him down. So I think Alex Van Pelt was like their 15th choice, like 14th choice or something. Like, it was something horrible. I know it was like a dozen people interviewed. I don't know how many said no or how many they said no to, but I know it wasn't very good looking for the Patriots.
I would have rather took back Josh McDaniels. that sounds crazy, I know, but I would have rather had him than Van Pelt. At least he has some type of experience with a great quarterback and I mean, getting rid of Carr for Jimmy G was stupid. We can say that all day, but he makes dumb decisions as a head coach. We've seen it. But as a coordinator, just strictly coaching an offense, he had Mac Jones playing good football his rookie season.
Yeah, he had Mac Jones playing his best football his rookie season. I'm not.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Then he left the next year, and then he got stuck with whatever, and it just. But you get what I'm saying, though. You need to pick someone that's going to groom a quarterback, not show off a 39-year-old quarterback at the end of the season that's trying to get another job, so he's going to start throwing the ball all over the place. Flacco was literally playing for another job. He wasn't playing to win games. I know he was playing to get back in the NFL, and he did. He ended up signing with Indy. But you guys said it the other day. No one was going to come to New England and take a beating. And Brissett was like, "Yep, I will. Let's go. I'll take this beating." Oh, dude, you're taking a beat. You might not make it through the season type of beating.
No, he's 10 minutes away from a shoulder. Like, I hate to say it, but it's ugly. It's ugly, and it's not going to get any better. They're not going to do anything to change it. It's like you can't make big moves to change an organization in football at the trade deadline. There's nothing like that in this NFL. I mean, has any of what you've seen changed your prediction for wins?
No. Yeah. I don't think they make 4 wins.
That's what I was.
I expect them to have a top 2 pick in the draft.
Yeah.
And they need to stop drafting receivers. Don't draft another quarterback. Don't draft a running back. Get an offensive line. Use your first 3 picks on offensive linemen. I don't want to hear, we need a defensive end. I'm not worried about that. Give me the offensive line first, because they're already talking about picking a couple of your Georgia defensive ends.
I don't get it.
With the third in these pre-draft things, and I'm like, is people retarded? Like, the weakness ain't the defense. Clearly, it's the offensive line.
Oh, you got a defensive coach in an offensive NFL, right?
Yeah,
that's what they're gonna do.
He would have drafted Alton, the other kid, the guard. Or was that you that said
it? Eli has been big on Alt, but watching him play, yes, that's who I wish they drafted.
Oh, yeah.
I wish they had started there. Him at left tackle and Manu at right tackle. Figure out the guards. At that point, I'm comfortable with David Andrews. The guards will figure it out because they'll play off the other guys and they'll put it together because they don't want to look stupid. I mean, that's how I feel about that.
But if you had a legitimate offensive line or good rookies coming in as an offensive line, then maybe you could have found a quarterback to come play for us for a couple seasons and go for the next crop of quarterbacks that you're going to see coming out. I mean, you got Sanders next year. You got Ewers, whatever his name is. I mean, you got Arch Manning coming out in a couple of years. The list goes on. Well, there's Carson Beck's going to fucking Carolina.
Yeah, probably.
And if he does, sorry, I know you're a Georgia fan, but that ain't going to give him any help over there, buddy.
No, that's a worse. God, is it a worse situation than New England? I'm not even sure at this point, but it's down there.
I mean, after seeing what Dalton did, maybe it wasn't, but who knows? If Carolina comes and pulls what they did last week and wins again this week, it wasn't a Carolina thing. It's a quarterback issue.
Yep, I think you're right. I think you're 100% right. I have kept my number. I said they're closer to 0 wins than 8 wins, and I'm standing completely by that. They won a game. I mean, Cincinnati lost a game, but the Patriots end up getting that in the win column. 3, maybe the defense, a defense that is supposed to be like tremendous, that still doesn't have an interception, by the way. They're like one of 2 or 3 teams that doesn't have an interception. But maybe the defense can steal, or special teams steals a game or 2. But outside of that, I'm right. I think I was at 3. I'm staying at 3.
I think you were at 2 or 3, if I'm not mistaken. So you were right there. I think me and Eli both said 4.5, just because of the over. So
Yeah.
you weren't wrong that this team is awful. Now, my question to you is, with this awful offensive line, do you put May in?
I don't. I'm not leaving that train. I'm going to be on that train until it goes away. This isn't a mental thing. This isn't a situation where, because everybody says, and, discussing it with Eli said it too. I'm not talking mentally. I'm worried about him being ruined. I'm talking fundamentally. Like, I'm not talking in his head like Mac Jones. I'm not talking about he's going to be screwed up and because he's a young kid. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is he has flaws. He has a difficult time throwing to his right. Everything about his throw, his everything that he does when he goes to the right is off. It's different. His footwork is still struggling. He didn't play on DeSena. Now he's on DeSena. Footwork's different. I don't want to be watching this kid getting stepped on by the center and the guard every time he comes from on DeSena. Like, there are so many little things that he's already flawed. So you're going to put him behind this. If even putting him behind the perfect offensive line with his flaws, that could cause regression. He can't fix those flaws under fire behind the worst offensive line, maybe in NFL history at this point. He's not going to get to fix those things behind that offensive line. There's no work. The experience of that isn't positive experience. There are things that you learn from experience. Some of that is good, and some of those experiences can completely ruin you. You learned a lesson, but it sucked. Well, that's what this would be, and the lesson wouldn't be anything but he's never going to fix his flaws because they're not giving him the opportunity.
No, and again, it goes back to the coordinator too. You drafted a kid with a big arm and all this stuff, but you picked a coach with a power running game,
right?
And or sorry, not power. We'll say zone, blocking game with no zone blocking available. Better off just calling the plays your fucking self and leaving it go at that. It's. I didn't want to start May. I didn't want to draft him. I still don't want to start him. Getting to watch the Patriots every week get stomped on sucks. Maybe seeing some life in the quarterback game would maybe make me change my mind, but I don't think you're going to see it. I agree with you. You're going to ruin the kid fundamentally, not mentally. He knew he was coming in New England. He knows his offensive line's bad. He knows he's going to take a beating, but you can't fix your fundamentals getting sacked 6 times a game. Nope. You can't. You'll see Milton. You'll end up seeing Milton come in instead of Brissett, and Milton is a big guy that could take a beating too, but he got his own flaws all together. So you're in a shit situation in New England altogether. It really is. It's just awful. They need to work on this offensive line. They need to drop some money on some free agents on offensive line this year. I don't care if they're in their 30s. Get them. Offensive line longevity. They play for a while. They're not small guys. They play until their mid 30s. Some of them are playing into their 40s right now, and you need to do something because you have all this money. You have all this. Get a new OC. Get an offensive line. Let the kid play next year. If you're gonna switch out Brissett, sign another quarterback. Go sign somebody. I saw a crazy thing today that Miami would potentially be a trade target at the trade deadline for Mac Jones because of Tua.
He'd probably go there and look good.
That's how bad would that be? How bad?
Could you imagine, like, Robert Kraft's his reaction to that?
Oh my God, we had the guy the whole time. You didn't have the offensive coordinators and you didn't have the fucking coaches to coach the kid.
Exactly.
But when I saw that, I was like, imagine him going down there and throwing for 4,000 yards to Tyreek Hill and Jalen and throwing for 30 touchdowns with not a lot of picks, how bad does that make us look?
It would look horrible. And
it makes them, and Robert Kraft's crying, I want to be in the Hall of Fame. I want to be this and that. Well, guess what? You might want to take a step back and not be like Jerry Jones and let someone else control. I think them getting rid of Casario was stupid a couple of years ago or 3 years ago. You look at what he's done drafting. Bill Belichick, nope, I don't need you. See ya. Kraft, yep, no, you're good. Go ahead, go to Houston. You're retarded. I'm sorry.
yep.
You were
Drafting,
stupid.
trading too. I mean, the hire D'Amico Ryans, getting Tunzel in trade, like everything he's done has turned to gold there.
Yeah, the draft picks and then trading draft picks. He has done so well, and they should have never have let him walk. They should have never gave complete control to Bill. This team is in shambles, and it's sad to see because we had 20 years of greatness, and now we're the bottom of the barrel in the NFL, and I don't see out of it in the foreseeable future.
I don't either. And I'll say this just last on this discussion. As much as I shit on Mayo, Bill Belichick has a lot to blame here. I mean, a lot of what's going on is obviously left behind. The Tyquan Thorntons of the world and the Cole Stranges of the world, et cetera, et cetera. But to go on with that, they also decided to re-sign all of those guys this offseason. They re-signed Duggan. They re-signed Baumel. Not Baumel, I'm sorry. They re-signed Onwenu, which that one I can understand. But they re-signed all of those guys as well. So to look at it and blame him, but then in turn re-sign all of his guys and bring them back, the Hunter Henrys that he brought in, like you can't have it both ways. And to your point, I don't see the light at the end of this tunnel. I don't see, like, Detroit did it the right way. Detroit was a shit organization for how many years? I mean, forever. And when they finally put it together, they built from the inside out. Offensive line, defensive line. Built from the trenches. They built their way out. They got their quarterback, if you believe Jared Goff is the guy in the trade when they shook everything up. But they did it the right way. Offensive line, defensive line, then build up. And
but you're right on that. You're right on that with Goff though, because Dan Campbell wanted him.
Yeah,
he did. He wanted him, and showing a team you want somebody brings a better player out, and that's what I'm starting with. These likable coaches that they have. I mean, Dan Quinn leaves Dallas, goes to Washington. They all love him. Every player on that team will fight to the death for him. You need someone like that. You don't have anybody like that in New England with Mayo.
No.
They all. I mean,
they claim it. Yeah, exactly. They like him. And what was it? The Patriots, whatever they reported to, the Patriots are trying to keep Christian Baumel involved. So they have him running this funny Friday thing where he comes up with a minute clip that makes his teammates laugh. This is what is being reported out of the Patriots, the organization right now. And what to go from Belichick and the way that everything was, it was very serious. It was business. It was, just do your job, all of that bullshit. And now, you're putting together 1 minute clips to make everybody laugh on a Friday afternoon. So I joked. I don't know if you saw it in the text, but I put it on Twitter. I said, this is what's coming out of New England now. This is what the Patriots have turned to. I said, you remember everybody complaining about the Patriots facilities and then not having childcare. I said, I thought it was for the kids of the players, but apparently they needed the childcare for the players. You're a horrible team. You just lost to the Jets. You got run out of the building. And again, the score doesn't look like it. They got run out of it. They got manhandled. They were embarrassed.
It looked awful.
Yeah, you're 1-2. You can't put shit together. Your offensive line is falling apart. Injuries, this and that. You guys, you have a quarterback threw for 98 yards and averaged like 4.6 yards an attempt or something, whatever the hell it was. And then you're worried about funny Fridays? Like, do they have a casual Thursday? They don't have to wear their full uniform. They can leave their shirt off or something. Like, what? This is what you're concerned with now? That's embarrassing.
It's not the Patriot way that we knew and loved. And we've said it before. We don't know if it was Brady. We don't know if it was Belichick. We know it was Belichick in the beginning. We know it was Brady at the end. But when you had a guy that wanted to win football games, that wasn't coming somewhere just to take a beating, it kind of changes the atmosphere a little bit. Oh, we got the GOAT. No matter how bad we are, we got the GOAT, man. We got Jacoby Brissett. If I was an NFL player and I got Jacoby, I thought they were going to use Baker more this season. He hasn't had really anything. They're the guys that they drafted. They don't have a guy that can get him the ball.
Yep.
So all your draft picks wasted. Polk, he looks good when he gets the ball thrown to him.
Yeah.
But you're not gonna. This team is just. And I'm sorry, I'm one of the biggest Patriot fans in the world, and I love them to the death. I loved them when they sucked when I was a kid, and I liked them when they were great and loved them. And I still love them now, but God, it's awful to watch. I'm like sitting here already praying for the Celtics season and Bruins season to start. And I don't ever do that. I don't ever do that during football season. Season. This year, nope. I am waiting for the Celtics to come through. And I'm waiting for the Bruins to come through. All the moves the Bruins did, exciting to retaining everybody in the Celtics, and then adding who'd they add that recently that shoot the 3-point shooter?
Lonnie Walker.
Yeah. And then you go and add him on top of it, hoping you have a healthy Kristaps Porzingis. That team's just I'm ready for them to win. They're gonna two-peat. But I don't see this for the Patriots for at least the next 5 years. I don't see anything good coming out of New England. And New England fans, shoot me if you want. I don't care. It's whatever.
I'm going to give a prediction right now just because you said what you said about Kristaps. I'm going to predict that because they're talking maybe December is when he's going to be back. I'm going to predict horrible word plays because he's going to come back around Christmas. And people are going to play with his first name and Christmas. Kristaps and Christmas. And there's going to be horrible, horrible word plays when he comes back around Christmas. That's my prediction right now. It's on video. It's here. Because when it happens and it's all over the place and it's hashtag whatever they come up with, I said it first in September.
You're going to see the corner vendors in Boston selling shirts for Christmas.
Yep. And I'm going to pull this video. I'm going to pull this video and put it on TikTok and say I had it first. I don't even want to hear this. Because you know what's going to happen. It's too easy. It's too easy.
Oh, man. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, watch. It's coming. Back to the Patriots.
We got something to look forward to with them. Football season, it looks like we're going to be shitting on the New England Patriots a lot this season and going through other teams that are possibly there. Sorry, New England, but Buffalo might win the Super Bowl this year. So step up your fucking game. Do something.
Yep. Exactly that. Do something. Don't just sit there and take it. All right. So before we wrap up real quickly, you want to say anything about the Sox?
Yeah, thanks for letting me down. Playing great before the break and then shitting your pants at the end and then magically start winning games when you need to start winning games 20 games ago. Thanks a lot. John Henry, you suck. Please sell the team and let someone else come in and take over and do something. Because I don't know if I could watch another season like this again with the Red Sox next year.
It's the same old thing, isn't it? It's the same old story. They look okay. I think they were 10 games over 500 around the All-Star break. I think it was something like 52 and 42 or something.
They were 10 games and had the first wild card spot.
Yeah. Yep. And then it's the same thing we always see. Trade deadline, they don't do anything. Other teams around them do something, and then they just shit their pants. Like you said,
You see,
it's every year.
and we all said we wanted to trade for Garrett Crochet.
Yeah. Yep.
1.49 ERA or something like that, 200 strikeouts, and
Yep.
he was grabs and you didn't make a play for him. Get the fuck
I know.
out of here.
And then you look around and you get to see Verdugo celebrating this. You see Kyle Schwarber, the most leadoff home runs this year in baseball. Chris Sale is leading the National League in wins, strikeouts, and ERA, I think.
He's winning the
Like,
NL.
Yep. Yep. It's wonderful to see. You gotta absolutely love it.
Sure. I'm looking at a picture on my wall right now of Jason Barrett's like punching Ray Rock in the face. And I'm like looking at it, and I'm like, man, where were those days back, man? Because this whole we won after we would last and this and that, like, yeah, I'm not taking it anymore. Like, we should be in contention every year with the money that we have, and we're not. So, thanks, John Henry. Sell the team, get rid of him. You don't want to be here no more. That's my Red Sox.
No, going back like to my prime days when I was younger, like when the Sox were on, I'd go to a bar to watch the game.
Oh yeah.
Like now the Red Sox are backgrounds, noise at my the game's on, yeah, it's on the TV, but I'm over here doing the dishes or I'm in the other room doing something. It's background noise at this point.
Oh yeah.
But back in the day, I mean, it was especially on a Pedro night, like it was must watch baseball.
Pedro, Derek Roll, watching
yeah,
that whole watching all that. Like even when I was really young and Clemens was still there, Clemens, you had something to look forward to. You have nothing. Raffy Devers is not Manny, and he's not
hurt, and he's hurt too.
Yeah, he's not any of them. So
no.
I'm not saying he's not a good ball player, and he's young. He's a good ball player, but he's not a must-see attraction. I grew up with Pedro, Lowell. It just the list goes on. You had Keith Folk as your closer at one point. You had Manny smashing him, Ortiz smashing him. You had Nixon out there hitting and stuff. You had a lot of things going for you back then that you don't have now. And yes, they might have won some World Series, but don't know what they're doing now. What's the point?
Well, I love the list you just gave because it brings me to a crazy point. So back then, you had your superstars. You had Pedro. He was a superstar. You had Manny, superstar. Papi, superstar. But all the other guys, we love the same. The Mark Bellhorns of the world. And then you got like your Mike Lowell. You got Kevin Millar came into town. Even the guy like Trot Nixon was just a dirt dog. That's why he was loved. And it goes Orlando Cabrera and Pokey Reese and Doug Mankiewicz until he stole the baseball. And all of these guys, Alan Embry, we loved every single one of those guys. Even the guys like Tim Wakefield, like God rest his soul, Tim Wakefield.
I loved watching.
Of course, but with this Red Sox team, who like Jarren Duran, I think is an absolute stud. I think he is your best player. It's not Devers.
I said that to you guys before the All-Star break. I think was that he was having a season Mookie Betts kind of season.
Young Mookie, yeah,
like a young one. I could see him being a Mookie going further on. But if that's all I look forward to, then there's something wrong here because you have one of the highest payrolls in baseball.
Yeah, I look around and it's I guess Rafael is decent. Like he looks okay. Cassis is whatever, to be honest with you. Brian Bayo, like the guy, like their guys, like the guys that are supposed to be their core young guys. It's Jarren Duran. Like Tyler O'Neill's going to take off. Kenley Jansen's going to take off. It's just going to be the same thing next year. And it's going to be the same people. And we're going to have to watch Well, horrible baseball. It's so hard.
So I'm telling you, the only thing we have to look forward to right now is the Celtics and the Bruins. And
Yep.
you don't know if the Bruins are going to go any further in what they did in the playoffs this year just because you have a bunch of new players. You're basically your only hope is the Celtics. And
Yeah,
the hope,
especially with the Bruins, you don't even know who the goalie is going to be right now.
exactly. So it's a lot of different things. But Sox disappointing, Patriots disappointing. Sorry, Boston fans. You have to look forward to the Celtics and Jaylen Brown looking like a fucking jacked freak of nature and doing his own thing, not taking the $50 million Nike deal and making his own shoe. And you have stuff to look forward to with basketball and hockey, and that's about it this year.
Yeah, I'm completely buying Jaylen Brown is on a warpath. No all NBA, no all defensive team, no US Team USA. Jason Tatum is on a warpath. Sat twice, and everybody's talking shit about him at the Olympics. I think they're both on a warpath. I think this is going to be. I saw something like ESPN projections had them projected at like 52 wins this year. I'm like, you have got to be insane to think 52 is the number they're going in with.
I think they can push 65, 70. I think they can look like if everything plays out right. And everybody's if you have an MVP season from both Brown and Tatum and they're in the top 5 of MVP, you could potentially see a Golden State Warriors-esque type team for the next 2 years.
I think so too. Salary cap will be the only thing that'll hurt them. Obviously, God forbid anything else happens. We know what I'm talking about here. But with that, let's wrap this up. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you check us out on Twitter. Make sure you check us out on YouTube. Check out Jones and for Sports while you're there. For Eli, Kiefer, and myself, thank you again. Like, comment, subscribe. Kiefer, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, Eli, get better, buddy. See you soon. Get some sleep, heal up. And yeah, that's about it.
Absolutely. Same for me, Eli. We'll see you soon. I know you're going to be watching this. Everybody else, take care out there. We'll see you next time.
Later, boys.